Okay, we're back for a trade deadline special here in Out of the Park Baseball 22 in our tear down the Dodger rebuild. And man, we tore them down and we have built them back up. We are 72-29, 2 days away from the trade deadline, which is bananas. But something happened in our last episode that distracted me quite a bit, made me worried about how the season's going to turn out, and it was Mackenzie Gore being out for 8 months with a torn labrum. So that made me a little concerned. I felt like our starting pitching is very good. Our entire pitching staff is great, bullpen included. Our offense is great, but I don't want to say we're a sure thing to get into the playoffs, but it would be hard for us to miss the playoffs at this point. Very, very hard. So how can we, get ready for the postseason? Who can we add to really make sure we can make a World Series run? And before, I really liked the fact that Chris Paddock would come out of the bullpen as a long reliever with Shane McClanahan. You have a lefty, righty, both can pitch multiple innings, and they have enough stamina and skill to get you to, the Class A, the Greater All, the DeGuess. Yes, I looked up all these names, so I know how to pronounce them. Without much damage. So now we're putting Paddock in the starting rotation, which I just feel a little exposed in our bullpen, and I'll show you why. The reason, really, if you look at everyone here, everyone's stamina pretty low. Not many players that can go multiple innings for multiple times in a row. I mean, you have McClanahan, and then you have Mitch White, who has been okay. If you look at he's probably our second worst reliever from a WAR perspective. He's okay. So I just feel a little exposed there, that if we get in a couple multi-inning games or we have a couple weeks with no break or no days off, so like we're already a week in here into August, and let's see. I'm just afraid that we won't, our bullpen will suffer, put more pressure on our more pressure on our starters, and then put more pressure on our offense too. So that's one thing. I feel a little exposed in our bullpen, so we're going to address that. And our starting pitching, looking at this and runs against and starters ERA, it looks in FIP, pitching WAR, it looks great. But like Josiah Gray, I feel like has been the best this season. But it has been very good this season. Everyone else is, I feel, not that it's not sustainable, but they may be getting, a little bit of luck their way, which I want to guard against. And between last episode and this episode, I actually offered him a 6-year, $60 million contract that he is reviewing right now. So I don't know if he signed it or not, but to get him for $10 million a year, he's 24 years old, take him to his age 30 season, I think that's great value if he accepts anywhere in that vicinity. I mean, he's had a great start to his career, 2.5 WAR last year, 3.5 WAR so far this year. His whip has been fantastic through 125 innings. His BABIP hasn't been obscene. I mean, he's lucky. He's been a little bit luckier, but it's not like crazy. Like 240 or something like that. So great season overall. Still has some room to improve, but can be even better than this. So I wanted to offer him. So he's been a stud. But then let's look at our other regulars here. So we have Tanner Houck, who has had a solid season, low whip. Walks they're like a career best walks, strikeouts 7.5 or 7.9 per 9. BABIP a little lucky. So I think there's a little bit luck baked into Houck's season. Not saying he's not having a great year, but I just think there's a little bit of a regression possibility. Then you look at Simeon Woods Richardson, who again above average hitter, but his walks way high, out of characteristic for his career. So you would expect maybe that decreases a little bit, but only 7K per 9 innings. In a whip, a relatively high whip there. So walked 55 batters. He has, I think he's tied or top 5 most walks in the majors this year so far. So there again, I see maybe some regression opportunities there, and then Skubal. Again, his homers have increased significantly this year. Walks are in line with his career, so is the K. BABIP getting relatively lucky there. So again, I just want to protect against maybe a slide, because right now our pitching staff is great. If you look at the win-loss record, you look at the ERAs, that they are awesome, and I think that's helped out by a really good defense. But I feel like it's. I mean, you look at these records, it's like, and you look at the ERA, you're like, man, this has to be one of the best starting rotations in the last, decade, 2 decades. I don't know if it's that good. So I want to address that issue as well. Either, find someone to take Paddock's place in the bullpen, or find a top-tier, starting pitcher that can kick Paddock not back to the bullpen for the playoffs, but maybe put him back down into AAA, where he can continue to get starts, continue to throw, so if something else pops up, he can come up to the majors. That would be ideal. And then we also thought about, looking at, hey, can we make a move at first base? I spent a lot of painstaking time on that. There's really no move to be made unless we trade quite a bit of players for Luke and Baker, the Cardinals prospect. And there's Garrett Cooper I could also trade for, but he comes with a little bit of a price tag to it. And if you look at and his defense is weak, Garrett Cooper's defenses are weak from the Anaheim Angels. And if you remember, we have Devin Mann and Grayson Janesta at AAA. Devin Mann, leader, loyalty, adaptability, that's all good stuff to be high on. And he had I think it was a 6-game hitting streak to start his career. And he's great defensively. So I know we don't have incredible depth at first base, but if Ryan Mountcastle goes down, I believe we could make do. And I don't want to trade a lot just for an emergency player. So we found a couple ways to accomplish our pitching goals, at least. So we'll do that, and then we'll come back to the statistics and like the standings and things like that. So first things first, what can we do? Well, let's shore up our bullpen a little bit. So if we go back, you can see there's the pending extension that has been offered. So if we go back and we look at the bullpen, a couple players here that I think that Dykman doesn't. He's been good for us, but doesn't give us a lot of versatility because he's a specialist. That's an opportunity to get waived, sent down, traded, whatever. Dennis Santana, quite a high number of walks, which makes me a little concerned, about high leverage situations. And then not only that, his stamina is not the greatest. And then Mitch White, I think he has a bright future, but I think that he might be a little in over his head right now. You can see his Ks per 9 are good, but his walks per 9 also have skyrocketed as well. So I feel like there's a little bit more seasoning that can be done there. And then you look at Tommy Canley. In 40 innings, he's given up 8 home runs, 17 walks, high, a little bit high of a whip. 3.8 walks is on the higher end, coming off of a season last year. Well, I mean, this was 1 inning, so you can't really hate the guy. Or not last year, 2 years ago, where he had he had pitched 1 inning, struck out 3, gave up a walk and a hit. So I guess that's not too bad now that I'm looking at it. So I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. I don't know what you're going to get with Canley. So how can we maybe bolster this a little bit? So first things first here, we're going to go to the Milwaukee Brewers to make this trade. So, and Milwaukee's open to trading a lot. We have, depending on how much, what kind of prospect pool we want to give, we could walk away with Brandon Woodruff if we wanted to. We could walk away with Corbin Burns. We could walk away with pretty much anyone on their active roster. So I spent painstaking hours going through this, seeing what can I get for the least amount. And we're going to give we're going to give up. I'll tell you who we're going to give up first. We're going to give up Johnny DeLuca, and I'll walk through why we're giving up each player. So DeLuca is a prospect that we have. Let me see if I can find him. DeLuca. So Johnny DeLuca. So if we look at his profile, great on the base paths, pretty good in the outfield, has some versatility there. But hasn't really. He's 24. He's in single A ball, and he hasn't really popped off yet. And then if you look at his contact and his hit potential, I mean, this guy, his bat is so bad. There's no way he sticks at any point in the major leagues. I mean, he probably won't even stick at AA or AAA, to be honest. So this is, to me, I consider, I don't want to say a throwaway prospect because I don't want to disrespect the guy, but 1.5 star rating from our head scout, 2 stars from OSA. I mean, what's the difference there? So, and if you look here, this is incredible. Look at our strengths. We have high-level talent and depth everywhere, not only in the minor leagues, but in the starting, the active roster. And if you remember, we have DJ Peters in center field. We have a number of center fielders ahead of him in the pecking order. That if he were even ever a 24-year-old high A ball player who has no hit skill, if he were to ever make to the major leagues, we've probably developed someone else by then, if everyone else got hurt for some reason, or we have bigger fish to fry at that point. So we're including him, and then we're including a pitcher that we actually got back from the Cardinals, and on our first deal that we traded, I believe it was Corey Seager. Yeah, I think it was Corey Seager. Let's find him here. It was Bernardo Flores is who we will be dealing here. And if I scroll down, I'm going to find him eventually. I don't know if he's worked out, if he's no longer considered a prospect. I could just search by name, I guess. That might be easier. Okay, he may no longer be considered a prospect. If we go to, yep, there we go. Bernardo Flores in triple A. 1.5 WAR, but you look at his K per 9, so low. His walks per 9, low. So is his home runs per 9. But I just don't see how there's any way that he sticks. I mean, where's he going to play for us? He's not going to be in the starting rotation. We have great. We not only is our current rotation stacked, but we also still have Hunter Green in the minor leagues. We still have Michael Liberatore in the minor leagues. So I mean, where is he gonna play? Is he gonna play in the bullpen? I don't think so. He doesn't have the stuff to play in the bullpen. His pitches are weak. I mean, he has maybe 2 major league pitches at best right now. So I just don't see where he's going to come through and be a difference maker for us at any time. So, and surprisingly, that's all we have to give up for the player that we want. And the player that we want is going to be none other than Devin Williams. So, if we look at him, I'm also looking at these personalities of players that we're bringing in. We'll do whatever it takes to help the team. High adaptability. That's great. Still cost controlled there. Awesome. We could offer him an extension. And so far this year, 38 innings. His walked 15. Walks are a little bit on the high side, but he has dominant stuff. You look at his stuff. You look at his 3 pitches. He can strike people out. And we don't have to give up much to get him. If we look at his splits, crushes righties, pretty good against lefties too. I also was considering Josh Hader at this point, but Hader brings a little bit more of a price tag, and by a little bit I mean a lot more of a price tag. His profile looks relatively similar but I don't like the 45 against the right-handers. At least Devin Williams has, I think, at minimum 50 everything, movement, control, stuff. So we get him without the price tag. So he's going to be he's a righty, throws 96, 98 miles an hour, power pitcher, not great stamina, but I mean he's going to be replacing someone else in the bullpen that doesn't have great stamina. So that'll be that so far. Whip low, home runs a little bit high, but I feel like those numbers there will come down with the defense behind us and kind of the leverage positions he's going to be pitching in. A lot of favorable positions, which I think will help. So we're going to make this deal now, and we're going to acquire Devin Williams. Boom, done. So the other thing we had been thinking about was, well, how can we improve our starting rotation? So just like I walked you through who we're trading for Devin Williams, I'm going to show you who we're trading for our next player. And our next player is on the Philadelphia Phillies. And we are giving up, we'll go back down to the prospects here. We'll sort by name so I don't have to look through everyone. Yoelqui Cespedes. If you remember, this is maybe the first trade that we pulled off. Pretty good prospect, pretty good potential. He's played very well at AAA this year. Could actually turn out to play well in the major leagues. Who knows? Good left field, good in right field. Has good range. Has good arms. Has a good arm. And I think overall he will make an impact for at least, and by impact I mean maybe 2 to 3 WAR. For a team for like 3 seasons. You're going to get good play out of him. But again, we have, think of our outfielders right now. We have Austin Hayes. We have Jared Kelenic. We have Christian Pache. We have Randy Rosarina. Right there, I think I just named like 4 or 5 guys. And then that also doesn't take into consideration DJ Peters or anyone else in our minor league system. So we have depth at right field, and we can lose Yoelqui Cespedes and be okay, I feel like. So we're going to lose him. The other player that we're going to trade is probably the best piece of this puzzle. I might consider him. It is Diego Cartaya. And I know right now he's just a 1-star player, but he has the potential to be pretty good. A lot's going to depend on this hit tool that gets developed, but has the mental skills to effectively handle big game pressure. You really like to see that. Good catcher ability, which I found out through the Out of the Park Baseball Reddit, is like the catcher position ratings doesn't really matter so much as the catcher ability. Neither does catcher arm matter as much as catcher ability. Catcher ability takes into consideration like framing, calling a game, leadership, etc. So anyone like this who's 20 years old has this kind of defensive chops right now. And he's not a huge shot on the base paths, but he could get around, I bet, if we send him a couple times. And he has a hit tool that could work out to maybe 12 home runs, 40 RBI with plus defense a year. That's pretty good. But if the reason I'm okay giving him up is if you look at I'll just show you the 40-man roster real quick and look at our catchers. Keibert Ruiz, stud. 60 catcher ability, 55 arm, 60 catcher, pretty good hit tool, all things considered. He has 2 WAR. His OPS plus is 104, so better than an average hitter. Alejandro Kirk, OPS plus a 118. Now his catcher position ratings not that great. Catcher ability, not good either. But if you're going to have him come off the bench and he's going to serve as a catcher every, twice a week or once a week, you can do a lot worse. And this has like designated hitter in my mind written all over it. So when the NL gets the DH, which you hope comes at some time. Well, I guess not in real life. I hope it doesn't happen. But in this playthrough, I hope happens so we can get more of our bats in the lineup. That's an option there. So we have Ivan Herrera after him. So his catcher is 55, catcher ability 55, catcher arm 55, and he has a pretty good hit tool as well, and he's in AAA. So we got to figure out what to do with Ivan Herrera. Do we let Alejandro Kirk go and keep Herrera? I mean, he's better defensively. What do we do there? So we have three high ability catchers. Both have at least 4.5 star potential and are both at least 3.5 stars overall. So not only that do we have to contend with, but then if you look at our Double A team, the Tulsa Drillers, you also have Shea Langoliers. You have Zach Susi, who is good defensively. That if we needed to play him in a pinch, I think he could hold his own at least defensively. Shea Langoliers, who's elite catcher. And yeah, when someone's this good behind the plate, you might not need this to develop much more than that. That might be good enough. I mean, look, his OPS plus is 87 at Double A, still has .7 WAR. So I mean, at this point, you were talking about a catcher that is number 5 organizationally. So what are the chances that he's going to ever see time, especially with us signing those catchers long term? I mean, probably not. And then also, I just noticed this: if you look at our right field depth at the professional level and at the prospect level, both are blue. It means it's elite. So that is skill and depth. So we have time. We have ability to move on from Cespedes, Cartaya. What are we going to do with him? Don't know. So the other person that we're going to throw into this, and we'll go to prospects because I believe he still is one. We'll search by last name. And it is Jack Cagliano, whatever. So 19 years old, could definitely grow into his bat here. 5th round pick last year for us. We were happy when he fell to us, I believe. First base pretty low, not much defensively, not much on the base paths. His hit tool, like I said, he might be able to grow into that bat and turn into like a low end designated hitter that hits, 17 to 20 home runs a year with 60 RBI and gives you nothing in the field. But look, if he's putting up OPS pluses of 33 and 43 at rookie ball and negative WAR both of those years in the major leagues, he's probably not going to pan out to anything. The last positive WAR he had was in high school. So we're not going to have to WAR, and we don't have depth at first base, but we could develop someone faster than I think it will take for Jack Caglianen. Okay, Caglianen. Maybe that's what we'll go with. Caglianen. Learn English with Zach. So that's why we're okay with giving him up. And then lastly, I don't want to say this is a throw-in option, but Hyun-Il Choi. He could be someone who develops well. But this is more of a lottery ticket. It's not a sure thing. He has good pitches for sure, but his stuff, movement, and control are all kind of major league average. So I feel like this is what his stats will be like in the major leagues. I feel like that home run per 9 might inch up to like 1. The walk per 9, I bet you see around 5. And then that, K9 probably drops to like 6 or 7. So I'd like to check back into him, see if I'm right. I think that's probably the most likely scenario. Could be wrong. I mean, look, he's posted positive WAR every year of his professional career. So he could make me look like a dummy. Absolutely. But I just feel like this is a lottery ticket and not a sure thing. So we'll give him up. So who do we get in return for this little haul? Not Jack Caglianen, the worst of the bunch. Everyone else Cartaya could be beneficial long term. Cespedes could make a difference right now. Let's see, Bryce Harper's still there, but could probably a better option in right field than Trey Mancini at this point. Cartaya, they're weak at the catcher position. It looks like at the pro level, or the prospect level, they're weak, so that takes on increased importance there. I mean, the pro level, they're not that great either. Hyung Il Choi, you'll always take a flyer on a starting pitcher like that. And then Jack, they are hurting for first base at the prospect level, so they need a lot. Not only at the starting level, or not at the active roster level, but also at the prospect level. So who do we get in return? Who are we going to get for this haul? And the answer is none other than Aaron Nola. So, a couple things here. Aaron Nola, stud. Never shows any lack of effort. Good head on his shoulder, gets along with everyone. High work ethic and intelligence. That's great. He has posted positive WAR every season of his career, and he's having a great year this year. Could we be overpaying a tad bit? Or not overpaying, but could we be paying for peak performance? Absolutely. But has 149 strikeouts, some of the most in the majors at this point, and 130 innings. So he's been a stalwart this year already. $15 million per year. He's a free agent after next year. So when our guys are still on there, either they've been locked up long term for low amounts, or they're still on their rookie contracts, we're going to be able to shed this and not really have any worse for wear. So ground ball pitcher, 92, 94. He's age 29. I know in this game it really age beats up players big time. So we have to contend with maybe next year he's not this good. But I mean, four very good pitches, two of which are borderline elite. Nola may be an overlooked ace, able to take the bats out of opposing hitters' hands. We have a good defense behind him. It's been interesting, though, that Nola, in his entire career, despite having 4.4 WAR, 5.7, 3.62, 4.5, he's only been an all-star once, and that is 2018, where he posted 5.7 WAR. So we're taking on a little bit of risk, not too much. I mean, this guy's a stud. I know past performance is not indicative of future success, but it should give you, he's having a great year, and it should give you some idea of what you can kind of expect from him. So, and it's not like a 1-year rental. We also can get him next year for a relatively reasonable cost. So we're going to pull that trigger. I don't think it's going to we're going to hurt too much. Friedman, we're definitely benefiting from making this trade. That's great. And let's see, can we get them to take any money, though? I haven't tried that. 5%, 10%. Oh, okay, I was going to say anything helps. If we can get them to take 10%, sure. So let's go ahead and make, remove. Let's go ahead and make that deal. Personal message. Oh, that's right. One of our goals was to acquire a nationally popular player. I think that should be it, right? Maybe we have to sim that day and that will update. But so we'll go to, we're not going to make any moves for first baseman. We're not going to trade any more prospects. We just sent 6 out the door, but not for, for good players. So how are we going to incorporate them into the active roster? Let's go to transactions. So Devin Williams. First, before we get to that, let's get to a housekeeping item with Riley Green. Riley Green's been up here. He's played in 18 games, 35 at bats, 3 home runs, 7 RBI, 14 strikeouts, 6 walks. When we were talking about outfield depth, I forgot to even mention Riley Green. I want him to develop this contact. And I want him to continue to develop his gap power and especially his eye discipline. Because if this gets up to 55 and this could somehow get close to 80, you're looking at a dynamite player. So he skipped really double A, or he played some in double A, but he skipped triple A. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our we're going to go back here, and we're going to just move Riley Green down to AAA. Oh, never mind. He's on our 40-man. We can't get rid of him without waiving him. So, well. Actually, you know what? See, we don't want to remove him from the 40-man. I'm sorry. We just want to remove him from the active roster. Sorry. I got my head all bamboozled there. So we're gonna remove Riley Green from our active roster. We're gonna go ahead and lock him down here at. We'll send him back down to AA. Just to make sure he can. Not that he probably won't spend much time down here, but we're gonna lock him in. Maybe a week, just kind of get his bearings back. Then we'll promote him to AAA. And so that opens up a spot in our 40-man, but we still want that outfield option there because right now we're only carrying 3 of them. So we don't want to bring up necessarily DJ Peters quite yet. I don't think he's maybe the best option at this time, even though he's having a great year in AAA. I like the versatility that. Well, I shouldn't say. I like the on-base skill of Chavez Young. And to be honest, we need to know what we have in him because we need to know if we can move on from him or not. He only really provides balance to right field, but that's fine. We have very adaptive outfield. If he has to come into right, someone else can move over to left or center. So I want to know what we have in him because he's been in AA for a couple years, AAA this year, and just want to get a little bit of a better look at him. And we feel like DJ Peters is probably going to be pretty good. He has a little bit more versatility in the field, but maybe not as much. He doesn't really maybe have as much pinch running ability, which I know that may sound stupid, but I just want to get a better look at Chavez Young. And so that means, okay, well, who are we going to get rid of or move down for our new acquisitions, Devin Williams and Aaron Nola? Well, first things first, when it comes to Devin Williams, let's see who can we send down without having to put them through waivers or DFAing them, and we can do DeGuess, Clase, Graterol, all of which we want to keep up. McClanahan we want to keep up. Vezia, he's a left-handed option for us. And the answer is going to be Mitch White because he's been up. I feel like he's been up all year for us. I know he's only played in 9 games, but I feel like he's been on our roster all year. And he's only gotten 8 innings pitched. So we're not using him. And I feel like that's and maybe that's putting more pressure on the rest of the bullpen because it's like there's no one else. There's only certain guys throwing all the time. So we're going to add Devin Williams to our roster there. And how are we going to make room for Aaron Nola? Well, what we're going to do. Why is Fernando Flores still on our roster? Just traded that dude. What? Maybe it needs a data update. We are going to we're going to put Chris Paddock back down to AAA, and we're going to keep him there. Why? I know I talked in the last episode and this episode about how I like his ability to come out of the long reliever, things like that. But I'm putting him down because I still want him to get starts. He may be a starting pitcher for us one day, and I want him to get more starts. So he's probably going to be up in September. Or if someone, God forbid, gets injured, he'll come back up, or ineffectiveness, he'll be the first person up. But for right now, at least for the next couple weeks, we'll put him back in AAA just so he can continue to get time. So we'll go ahead and update the staff, and they're going to put Graterol. They do it all the time. They put Graterol in the rotation. So now we will ask coach for the bullpen, and now we have Devin Williams steps in as our closer. DeGuess and Clase are our setup men, and then Tanner Houck. I don't know what the heck they do that for. let's see. I was going to say Tanner Houck. I'm like, wait, he's not supposed to be there. We have Canley, Santana. Santana would be the next person that we moved down, but we also, and it kept me from trading. We could also go back and get, that's a good thing I just brought up there. We could also go and get Josh Hader, but we have a prospect who was pitching in high A, and I brought him up to Nick Robertson to AAA because he's been pitching well at every level since he's gotten into the majors. 96, 98 miles an hour. His ratings are all great. Age 24. I feel like he could come in and pitch really well, and I don't want him to get necessarily blocked. So that's why we didn't make the trade for any other relievers besides Devin Williams. But I feel like our pitching staff is in a much better place now. Aaron Nola, Josiah Gray, Tanner Houck, Tarek Skubal, Simeon Woods Richardson, our starting rotation, and then we added Devin Williams to our bullpen, and now we have flamethrowers. Let's see, Class A throws over 100 miles an hour, Graterol 99 to 101 miles an hour, DeGuess 96, 98. Devin Williams, 96, 98. Let's go ahead and check out Canley, 97, 99. Dennis Santana, that's the first time you see a drop-off there. So you're looking at, let's see, Vezia, yep. McClanahan, 94, 96. Jake Dykman, 96, 98. So you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in our bullpen that can throw about 96 plus. It really reminds me of the Kansas City bullpen from a couple years back, where they just brought in flamethrower after flamethrower after flamethrower, and no one could hit them after the 6th inning. So that's where we're going to leave it at this point in time. We will simulate through. Just the quick thing I wanted to point out, we will simulate through the trade deadline and then August in our next video. One thing that was very tempting for me to avoid, you always look at the trade block. Look who's there. Trey Turner, who went through, said, okay, can we afford him? Got the prospect package workout. We could get him if we wanted to and not break the bank. But you get him for a year or half a year. Does he really help us? I mean, we're stacked up the middle. Brujan, Jimenez, Martin. I just don't know if he really helps. And then Andrew Benintendi. Get him for a half a year. Elite hit tool. He's a little bit harder to get for us, but we could. We'd have to give up a little bit more than what we'd like. But again, left field, we have like 5 quality players right now at the major league level that can play outfield. So we're gonna bypass that. So that's what we did. So always keep an eye on this, though, because you might find some familiar names. I don't know why they want to get rid of Trey Turner so much. And they'll keep the salary, too, which is wild. I can't find anything wrong with him, not injured, nothing. I don't know why they don't want to keep him. Maybe they're just trying to see how much they can get for him because they don't plan on re-signing him. But that's why you always want to keep an eye out on the waiver wire. So we'll stop there. I will see you guys in the next episode. Like I said, we will sim through the trade deadline, and then we will sim through August. And yeah, we acquired Devin Williams and Aaron Nola to help with our playoff and World Series push. So thanks for joining me. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.